Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Super excited to be here with these legends today. My name is Damien Borba. I'm the founder of this startup new company called Pacto, a focus on progression, learning. And I really love surfing, and I was never a professional, but I really like the technical aspects of it and everything. And today I have two amazing guests here. Damo first. He's part of Pacto too, and he's here to share some of his experiences. So do you want to talk? Just say hi to everyone, Damo.
Yeah, bom dia. Uh, yeah, just stoked to be here. Stoked to talk about surfing, just like you. I love surfing also, uh, and it's still something that I love to do every day.
That's amazing. Awesome. And also, we're here with Eduardo. Eduardo, want to say hi to everyone? I'll show some of your pictures here.
Yeah, hi guys. For me, it's a pleasure to be here with legendary surfer Damien Hobgood. And like we all know, he was the rookie of the year for like I think the year 2000. Then he won like four WCT wins, in Brazil and Fiji and Tahiti. He's got like a Chopu title, which is incredible. And I'm so happy to be here, Damien, and with both Damiens. And we have stuff to
It's
talk
tricky.
about.
It's gonna be hard.
Awesome. All right, guys. So the reason I wanted to bring you guys together, and this is an idea that came from Eduardo, and I felt was really amazing for this time. There's a lot of noise, a positive noise, right? In a lot of uh, movements, like in the surf industry right now. There's a lot of people struggling, people like saying some things were not fair, some things are fair, and there are a lot of different points of view. Like when I did a review about the last contest, I heard so many different hypotheses of like why this was right or this was wrong. And I wanted to bring, I'm from Brazil, but I live here in the US, in Oceanside. And that's where I met Damien and everything here started Pacto. And then I wanted to bring perspectives from Brazil with Eduardo and perspectives from the US with Damo. So I really thought this could be a great opportunity for us to really learn about this scenario right now. This is not new. This is not the last thing that will happen, right, in surfing or any other sport. So I would like to start with Damien. Can you share a little bit about your when we spoke before? You said you could go back a little bit and say give especially the Brazilians. I'm from Brazil. A lot of the maybe some facts or something that really shows that this is not unfair things don't only happen to Brazilians. Like these things, this challenging situations, they happen with Americans a lot, with Brazilians a lot. And you're on tour for 14 years, so can you share a little bit of your perspective on the whole thing?
Yeah. I guess first of all that um, I don't mind seeing this stuff. A lot of people, not that it's like the best thing to see obviously, but like to me it shows that there's still a lot of passion and there's still a lot of love for the sport. um and sometimes it can boil into to things maybe we're not as proud of, or maybe we didn't handle ourselves the best, but in the end I don't really look at it as like such a bad thing. And when I think about it, it's we've come a long way. We've come a long way in the sense of, you know when I was on tour, we really worked really hard to eliminate these conflicts of interest. Such as when it was the ASP, the whoever sponsored the contest would actually pay the judges wages, and right then, like, that's just a huge red flag. All of a sudden, like, what, the guy that's sponsoring the event is paying the judges wages? Like, that's not, that doesn't seem right. And and yeah, I do remember, like, when I first got on tour, there was There wasn't the webcast, so there wasn't a lot of accountability. A lot of stuff could go on, and no one, and it was there. No one was, unless you were on the beach, you didn't really see it. And and there was a little bit of a hierarchy where it felt like it took a couple years for you to ever get a score, even in a sense of they wanted to make you earn it, and if it was ever close, you were going to lose if you're a rookie. And so, kind of with that being said, I do feel we have come a long way. I do feel there's not many conflicts of interest nowadays. A lot of it's been kind of mitigated as much as possible. Of course, there's probably a couple things that can be done. There's always ways to improve. Um, and so from that standpoint, I feel like it's come a long way and it's gotten a lot better. And I do remember times where I did feel that there was certain people that weren't getting a fair shake. And and I'm not saying that it totally isn't gotten rid of, but I'm just saying it feels like it's gotten a lot better, and I think it will continue to get better through these conversations.
Yeah.
That's
Can I
awesome.
ask you one thing? As a Brazilian, we
Hit me
know
with it.
that we've been watching the surfing grow for years and years since the 70s and the start of the professional
Mm-hmm.
surfing with IPS and stuff. We came a long way too,
Mm-hmm.
to the point where we actually um, kind of have a little domination for a while, like with the Brazilian storm. Do you think
Yeah.
that this complaining, or however you want to call, like a letter or something from Gabe and Italo and Felipe, when they expose themselves, uh, do you think it's they have a point, or do you think it's just like like something, some background, some cultural thing that we think we always being ripped off or something? What is it's your perspective on that?
Yeah. You know what? I didn't really totally look at all the stuff they said. Um, Although I do think I saw Philippe's and I saw Italo's post. I thought they were both fine and great. And 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 actually I thought it would maybe even have been better than a lot of people could have done in that situation. Because when you're in it, it's hard. It feels like it's done onto you. And when it's done onto you, it's hard to have a pulled back perspective, especially with something like Italo, where it, he probably felt like the victim, you know, and when you're in it, and even for me when I was in it, I look back and go, you know what, I don't think maybe I even handled myself as good as I could have, and so I understand how hard it is when you're so in it because you've invested everything, you've given everything, and so I don't hold anything against what anyone in the competition says because I do understand how you, when you're in it, you can say things or do things maybe that you look back and you're not as maybe saw the whole perspective of
And
it.
I have one question, and we talked about this a lot. In a lot of people that are more used to winning, or as they grow, mature, and everything, you start seeing things differently, right? When I think these guys, and a lot of people that felt they were like targeted or something like that, it's easy to complain and try to have that quick win, like, oh, I need to fix this, or like just complain and fix the little thing. But all these great athletes and like huge champions, they have this kind of approach that, okay, I got hit, but I'll continue. And they kind of see more than that moment. Maybe even during that moment, they're already thinking, okay, I did my best. And I think you have a lot of that, Damon. Like when we spoke, like what does it go in your mind when, and how did you evolve that thinking, uh, of like accepting and maybe just thinking ahead?
Yeah, I mean, I mean, it's really like life. You know, it's like sometimes you get the fortune that you may not have deserved, and then sometimes you feel I deserve this, and you didn't get it. You know, that's life. That happens, and um, when you're dealing with a sport that's kind of borderlines the artistic realm, it makes it can add another variable that makes it pretty hard. And the thing about it is that you always have to look at the long run, is that, hey, look, I didn't get maybe what I deserve this time, but I I'll get that down the line. Like maybe it's the next contest. Maybe it's 3 contests down the road, but if I don't let that take me out and totally consume me, I'll get that in the end. Like the chips will fall my way. And and I think that's where you see the real big champions, you know, that are able to do that. And I mean, look at all athletes. There's times that people want to put you on the pedestal and times people want to take you off. That's kind of human nature, you know? And and so as an athlete, you're kind of always evolving that, kind of always thinking like, okay, dude, I didn't get my chance this time. You know, like say I'm Italo, I go, you know what? Maybe I got done wrong that time. But you know what? I see all the people that have come around me and have spoken for me, and I built this credit here. And next time it's close, I'll get it. I'll get it. And you just kind of have to think that way. And it's always this kind of positive nature. And at times, you know, people want to put you on the, you know, put you up there. I mean, you can even look at any guy who's won a title, multiple titles. You know, they want to see how you act when the adversity hits. You know, and that's only human nature. And I want to say, I think everyone's handled it, at least on the athlete side, amazingly.
Well, I think that the Brazilian surfers now that they won, they've been winning in the last. I don't think I'm wrong. In the last 8 years, I think we won 6 titles. We came from not having a title at all to having 6 titles in 8 years, except for John Jones that had two
Yep.
in the midst of it. And I think that they they feel like their adversaries, which is they are like great adversaries if they are if you're not counting the Brazilians when they are not competing against each other, like John or Jack Robinson and Ethan Ewing and Griffin Colapinto right now. I think that those are great surfers, amazing surfers, and Brazilians, they feel like now somehow there is a maybe unconscious movement to put one of those guys back in the titles and take maybe the crown out of the Brazilian hands.
Hmm.
This is one thing that I totally think that the community thinks, at least here in Brazil.
Hmm.
So do you think?
That's out of
Yeah,
that's out of their control, kind of, right?
yeah.
It's
Oh,
a and this is why I wanted to bring like US and Brazilian perspectives to this. They can only control what they can control, right? These extra factors are, I think we all start from this premise that judges, WSL, everyone is doing their best and they're trying to do it right. All right, especially when there's a lot more visibility, as Damien mentioned. So I don't think it's more like it requires us to be stronger and just accept that. Yeah, it's subjective. We're trying to remove the subjectivity of it as much as we can, and like tools and all that will be there to help. But Yeah, it's out of their control, kind of.
Mhm. Yeah, I think, I mean, Eduardo, I don't think that's a bad way to think necessarily as a Brazilian. I used to think that way as a competitor. You know, like if I can approach it, like I always performed the best when I felt like it was an underdog. You know, Brazilians love that. Like that's kind of their MO. It's a beautiful thing, you know? And and yeah, if that's gonna help you achieve your goal, I would do it, you know? I so yeah, I mean I think I don't necessarily think that's a bad way to think.
Well,
Yeah.
in a way, there is. I'm not putting words in anybody's mouth. You know, I'm just saying for the crowd in Brazil, people like are very understanding of surfing nowadays. Even people that don't surf,
Yeah, yeah.
and there is a feeling in the air that
Uh,
uh, they want to they want to crown they want to crown back to the Aussies and to the Americans, you know, and the Hawaiians. And so do you think this is like it's just a crazy thing going out, or you think this is actually, you know, something that the WSL as a, you know, as a as a company, you know, because they are actually you know, a company, they own, you know, the whole thing.
yeah.
So do you think
Yeah.
that actually happens, or it's just a trip?
Well, you know, I mean, I think you could go back to my answer a little bit ago about human nature, right? Like, and realistically, we're all the same, you know. And so, dude, it's only human nature. When I watch Kelly win a couple years, dude, I love the guy, but I want him to lose. You know, doesn't mean I don't like him. Doesn't mean I have anything against him. I want someone else to win. And so that's my human nature. And so when you propose it like that, I'm going, well, yeah, I could see you feel that way because it is human nature for people to want to put their heroes on a pedestal and then watch them fall and see how they act and watch them come back again. And and so I'm not saying that that's that feeling is correct or incorrect. I'm just saying that's a human nature that people have. And so to feel that way probably wouldn't be too far off, you know, because we'll do that with anybody.
Well,
We'll do that with our own.
did you ever feel like that happened to you? Like there's some judgment in a specific heat or something. It happened to you. Do you remember a specific one that actually, you know, like kind of traumatized you? And were you right or were you wrong after, you know, you scrutinized the videos and stuff? Do you think you were actually right? You had a reason to it?
Yeah, I mean, of course I did, but but then I also knew that I could never let that fester in me because that would then I would be the loser and then I would be suffering from it. And I just knew that this was what it was. This is how the cards laid, and I'll get it next time. I'll get it back the next time. And you know, I was telling Damien a little bit ago, dude, there was times like it was so obvious that we would joke as athletes and be like, dude, you're on the hot list right now. That means somehow any close heat, you're going to win it. And when you weren't on that hot list, you knew any close heat, you weren't winning. And some years you were on it, maybe you were on it for half the year and then you got off it and it was just I don't see it as bad anymore, but it was sometimes it was brutal. It was brutal when you'd watch them like, wow, dude, it seems like they're like they got something against this guy. Um So yeah, it's you know it's definitely really it's really hard and it's gonna and everyone's gonna have that feeling. Everyone's gonna have life.
Filho, eu tô
Everyone's gonna
tentando.
have that feeling. Competitor,
Peraí.
It's once again, I think that's just a human nature thing of being having the world do unjustly things to you. That will happen in this life.
And that will make you stronger, right? That's the whole thing. Like we're all fighting for progress and achievement, but it will never always go your way, right? And that's the beauty of life, right? That's why it makes it more special when it happens. That's how I see it.
Yeah, totally.
Can I ask you a specific question about the surf ranch? Do you
uh,
think, like, how hard is to surf that wave? Do you think that wave should be on the CT tour? Do you think it should be valid for the rankings or should be a special event? What do you think about it?
yeah, that's a really good question, and I don't really have the specific answer. I think it's extremely different. I think it's an extremely difficult what these guys are doing. Um, but on the other hand, I think it's a really hard thing to judge. Um, it's it it, it it's almost more like a gymnastics run in a sense than it almost is this kind of feeling of just flowing with the ocean. Um, it's I have a lot of mixed feelings on that one.
So
Going,
maybe it
go
should
ahead.
be more like a experimental event. Like they could try many different ways of judging, maybe many different angles of camera, maybe try different, like specific obligatory moves, or something. Did you perhaps ever thought about any suggestions about the surf range kind of contest?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're kind of seeing that. Really, you're kind of splitting hairs here between certain things, and I just, it's just, yeah, it's kind of a whole nother realm in a sense because it's more like a run in a half pipe or a run in a um in a then gymnastics or something where it's almost like the degree of difficulty has to like it. I guess in a sense of like a lot of times we go from like 1 to 10, and as you do moves, you go up the ranking. But if you notice, a lot of times in these gymnastics, like if you don't do a difficult run, you can't even get a certain score. And so it's like you almost they're starting from like 10 and working backwards.
Yes.
And it's like, hey, if you don't do this difficult thing, you can't get this. If you can't get this. If you don't do this, you can't get this. So it's almost like reversed of what we've viewed things. And I think it's just it's something that we're kind of like you said, kind of trying to experiment with and how do you judge that, or how do you put value on that, and how do you differentiate one person from another who's doing really similar things.
Yeah, I get
When
it.
you,
In the
when
Olympics,
you
they go from, like, they have each athlete has their series, their set. I forgot the word specific, but
the
Yep.
run, yeah.
yeah, they
Run.
run. They already enter the stage with a number, and as they make little mistakes, they get discounted in points.
Exactly.
We
So
have
if you make your set perfectly, you get the score that you already enter with. But that's kind of crazy. I thought about that too, but I think it's
yeah, I
pretty
have
hard to judge that because the athletes, they want the score right after they surf the wave, because they're gonna surf the next wave. They want to know what they had.
Totally. Yeah, I thought about that too. Like, wow, these judges got to get this score out pretty quick. You know.
It must
yeah,
be
Um,
really hard to judge in the surf range, because they actually make many, it's many moves in one wave. It's just like, what, 12, 14? How are you going to judge all that?
I have a
Yeah.
question. I have a question for you, Demo. Like,
And you,
go ahead, go ahead. I'll ask later.
well, no, I was going to say, even when we have waves that are really long, we have these long point breaks, they are hard to judge. The judge of is always, if you looked in the history, they've always struggled with that. When you have these long point breaks where someone does like 10 turns on it, not even dealing with the surf ranch, they have troubles with it. And I've noticed they've always had troubles with it, and it's hard to judge. And this is just that to another degree.
Yeah, I keep hearing some great coaches and some judges coming up with these hypotheses of what if we can name all the tricks, like give them names, give them like levels of difficulty, like, and really when we have that kind of list of things that can be done, then we can apply some logic to score these individual things. Do you believe in this model of like trying to quantify surfing a little bit more and trying to like really create this science behind it so it's more precise, or you think it has to be more open like it is today?
Well, I mean, I think when you have runs like this, you're gonna have to do that. It's gonna be inevitable. You know, hey, how many times you get the fins above the lip? Did you do an air? Did you grab with your air, or did you not grab? Um, you know, did your whole board leave the water? Like you're gonna basically have to do that to differentiate.
Like if you
Because
landed on
right now,
top or if you landed on the base of the wave or some stuff like that. How
yep,
high is the air or something, like many different
yeah,
little.
totally, totally. It's gonna and it'll end up happening. It's kind of been this kind of unwritten rule of how they've been trying to grasp that, but I think there'll come a time, definitely when we're dealing with the Olympics, they're gonna want to know exactly why you judged it this way and you didn't judge it that way. You're gonna have to have an explanation for that.
I think, Damien, the basic complaint of the surfers is like they actually have a rule book, like what you're gonna score in this wave, or what you have to do to score in that, in the specific wave, and you have to do this power flow, and but what the surfers complain, I think, is that the interpretation of the judges sometimes are mistaken. They don't see it like what it was done, so the it's like the guys, they don't really know what they have to do it because they did something and the guys didn't notice and stuff, so they kind of feel like lost in the interpretation against the
Yep,
the rule book, whatever, if there is one.
totally, totally. I think that's probably the hardest for the surfers is when you like, hey, I did what you told me, but somehow you still penalize me, and then that's where it's just you're kind of lost in a sense,
How do you see
as a surfer.
how do you see surfing, competitive surfing, in like 5 years from now, Damon? Like, what's your kind of prediction?
Yeah, I just think you have this explanation of like, hey, look, dude, you went backwards, freaking this long. The fins are above the lip this many times. You did an air, you didn't grab. Like, there's just, um, the you were disappeared from sight on this angle for this many seconds. Like, it's I think when you're starting to deal more with these wave pools, you really gonna have to start differentiating it, and you can do that easy, you know. And then the surfers understand, and the judges understand, and the spectator understands, because I don't when I watch snowboarding, I don't know what's good and what's not good. I need the guy to tell me, hey, look, this is the most difficult trick that the guy can do. Okay, cool, got it. Okay, well, that guy just did the most difficult trick. He's probably going to win. And if I wasn't told that, I wouldn't know, you know, and and not only does the judges need to know that, the surfers need to know that, and then the spectators can know that, and then who does it is gonna win the thing.
Well,
Yeah.
I think that there is one, like for example, if the Heat, Griffin Colapinto against Italo, for example, okay,
Mm-hmm.
I love to see Griffin surf. I just love to see that guy surf. The way he surfs, it's just like, for me, it makes me, like mesmerize me. But in a heat, if even if you didn't really like the way the Italo
Right.
surfed, you you can say, look, well, I like the way Colapinto surfed. I like the way he surfed the Heat. But if you really scrutinize the Heat in detail, you're gonna see that Italo won because he did way harder tricks. So sometimes the judge, they go, look, I don't know, maybe, but I like. It doesn't matter how hard the trick he did. I just like this guy surfing better. But so that's the discussion. They have to decide if they want a more difficult maneuvers, or if they want to the power and flow thing and style and stuff. So this is what is causing, I think, this misunderstanding. What do you think, Damien? Do you think, you know what do you think about it?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's where we talked about where that clears the air on a lot of what you're talking about when you have certain things that um, are going to get you certain points for. You know, um, I will say, what do you think about when you remember when down into the night session and Italo got that 8-5? What he needed an 8-5 and he got an 8-5.
Yeah, he needed
Remember
he
that?
needed something, some high score like 8.3 or something. He got like 8.5. Yeah, at night.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Um, so I mean, I guess what I mean by that is I don't feel the judges were against him. I don't know why the final ended up the way it was, but like throughout the event, I didn't feel they were against him. Did you feel they were against him throughout the event?
No, I didn't. I didn't feel that. No,
And
he
it's
had
also
a
and it's
really
also,
nice comeback against Ethan Ewing too.
Yeah. So that's why. So it was. Yeah. I kind of felt that way, but I didn't know if you guys felt that way. So, um,
But I think that in the final that he won. That's my opinion. In the final, for me, Italo won. Despite I love Griffin surfing, I think that Italo won. That's my opinion only.
yeah, it's
yeah, totally.
go ahead, go ahead.
And I think that it can easily be a true statement, and is probably more true than Griffin winning. But then again, I haven't even like totally watched it. I try to watch it from more like an out. I'm watching it right now, um, and I think the only really way to do it would be kind of giving these certain these certain points for certain of moves, and then kind of counting back from that almost in a way, you know. Um, but yeah, I would really have to watch it. I kind of was just asking people on their feelings about it, you know.
And it's also like for the judges, like thinking of like trying to relate to them, they have to, as you said, very quickly set the baseline, set the scale, or and then from there adjust, right? Go up or down. And that is a very
I
hard
think
exercise.
I think that's might be from what I heard. So when you notice a judge make a mistake, you know what it usually comes down to? The very first wave. He makes the wrong decision on the very first wave, and he can't fix it, and the guy ends up losing. And a lot of times people will look at like all these other waves. I'm just going back on what I've watched in
Mhm.
history. When that first person catches the wave and they don't judge it properly, it almost sets the stage for failure for the whole heat. And I'm not sure if that happened on this scenario, but I would almost bet that maybe that's where the very first wave Griffin caught. I don't even know. I haven't even looked at it. I'm just guessing that maybe that very first wave could have been a little off, and it ends up almost messing up the whole heat.
Yeah, that's very true. I think there was a scenario here. The first wave written was the 783, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then he fell at the end. And this is what I heard from coaches and judges that I spoke with. And then when Italo surfed his wave, it was an 813. So, in this technically could be easily a 9. Again, I'm not saying, but like if you look at that scale, and this probably, as you said, probably this first wave.
You're right, exactly right. So you judge the wave a little too high on the first one, then Italo surfs it better, but you only have a scale to 10 to go. So then you don't want to go too high, but then the spread between those two waves aren't accurately depicted. And then the scores might be proper on the last one, but because the proper spread wasn't done on the first one, the wrong guy wins. And that's just what I've noticed over years of watching heats, that a lot of times it comes down to that first wave.
Awesome. So thanks a lot, Damien, for staying. Maybe we have like one more question from Eduardo, and then Damien.
I have just the last question.
Okay.
It's like if you were to complain back then when you felt like something was unfair, some misinterpretation. If you were to complain before, how was back then to complain of a result? Have you seen any weird stuff? Do you remember? And do you think that it was the right way to complain, the way the Gabe and express himself and the guys? Do you think it was the right way to do? And how was when you had to complain about it?
Well, dude, to do that question, that's a whole nother show. That's a whole nother show within itself. But it was you'd seen it all, and a lot of times it was different. Let's just say it was really different. But then again, I don't mind the way everyone expressed themselves. I thought everyone did it in a really good manner, and even if someone didn't, I don't even mind that anyways, because dude, I want to see the passion. I want to see the characters. I want to see how they're feeling, like I love that. Like I love the passion. Like that's what I love about Brazil is the passion. Is like, dude, I don't want to kill anyone's passion, like, because if you don't have passion, what is it, and so, dude, I'm not gonna tell anyone not to keep caring and keep giving it all, because I love the passion that everyone's bringing these days, and it's fun to watch, so keep going, do more.
That's awesome.
Bro.
You guys have
we have many stuff to talk about. We can save for other days. That would be nice.
kids,
Like I said, it's just so cool to talk about surfing. That's why we love surfing, man, because
totally.
not just to surf the wave is good, but just to talk about surfing is is really nice, and watch surfing. That's why we love the sport.
Yeah, I love watching it too. Yeah, so well, cool guys. I'm gonna take off. I'll leave you with this. Wow.
Thank you so much.
Okay, guys. We'll catch up soon.
Talk soon.
Brother. Thanks, huh?
Right.
Cheers.
Eduardo, thank you so much for everything. Let's wrap up for now, and then we do another one very soon.
Yeah, brother. Okay,
Awesome.
guys. God bless you.
You.